Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
Maximizing transparency and trust. This bold step can thrust one company toward massive success. I'm Rick Girard, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our mission is to discuss and deconstruct insights from top-performing entrepreneurs and industry experts. Every week, we uncover tested tactical solutions to solve your company's most difficult hiring challenges. Today, our guest is Ville Houttu, the founder and CEO of Vincit, California. Ville was previously from Sweden?
Finland,
sorry. Oof. And actually helped to take Vincit public back in 2016.
Yeah.
After the IPO, he moved to California to start Vincit California, their local subsidiary. And during the first year of operations, he built a team of 20 developers in Irvine and acquired OC's hottest digital brand agency, XTOPOLY. Is that one right? Sweet. At least I didn't get 3 in a row. The team operates in Irvine and Palo Alto, where they help companies such as Logitech and Yamaha develop their mobile apps and digital services. Hey, fun fact, you also play steel guitar.
Yes, I do.
Welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. So, wait, steel guitar, and you have albums on Spotify. And I don't want to embarrass you, but that's impressive. It's cool.
Yeah, the albums are all in Finnish, but I'll send you the links.
All right. So today we're going to cover a couple things. You guys have built a really outstanding, really unique culture around transparency. And we're going to talk about kind of what true transparency is, proactive leadership, and how the structure attracts outstanding people. Sound good to you?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So let's start with transparency, because you guys have built a really unique model. I know that I met you at Disrupt HR, and you were giving a breakdown of how you guys did it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the talk I was giving at the Disrupt was actually about removing middle management from the organization, and how we ended up doing that. So just 5 years ago, we were 220 employees and running a pretty typical organization where you have management, then you have HR, sales, middle managers, and then you have employees under reporting to the management. Yeah. And we found out that neither the managers or the employees weren't that happy, because the managers were actually developers who were promoted to that position. Okay. And the only thing they wanted to do was to code. Yeah. And the employees, they had crappy managers because the managers didn't really want to be managers. So we had to do something. What we did was we removed the middle management and moved them into more value-creating jobs. Got it. And so as a result, how did that affect productivity in the culture? Yeah, of course. I mean, when you remove middle management, the whole system changes, and we sort of, I'd like to say, we replaced the whole middle management layer with transparency and trust. So the shift we had to make was to enable our employees to make big decisions. And by enabling, I mean they have the mandate, they have the right to make big decisions, but they also have to have enough information to be able to do that, and that's the transparency. Okay. Now, what did you guys do specifically on the transparency side? I mean, did you open up everything for everybody to see? Because that's, that's typically what transparency would be, I think, from a financial standpoint and everything else. Yeah, yeah. So obviously they have access to all information. Sure. They want, and on top of that, they can walk into any meetings. If it's a board meeting or a steering group meeting, they can walk in. So it's an open door. Yeah. Policy, even though we don't really have policies, but that's how we call it. Okay, got it. Now, you were telling me that you also make things like salary available for everybody to kind of see, right? Yeah. How does that work? It surprisingly worked. When we opened up the salaries, we were expecting a lot of questions, a lot of sort of Yeah, we cleared our calendars for 2 days, and just so that we can meet all the people when they have questions, why my salary is this and why his salary or her salary is like that.
Yeah.
And I think when we did it, we received 2 questions, and so people took it really well. And but I guess the thing is, one, it's the reason we actually did it was we wanted to enable the employees to recommend a raise for their colleague.
Yeah.
So because they work with their colleagues and they see how they perform. So we wanted to enable that, and to be able to do that, we opened the salaries.
That's a really bold move, and I'm sure right now that any CEOs that are listening to us right now are probably falling out of their chairs. I mean, how did you guys come to that decision?
It's like many of the things we've done and will do is we will come up with an idea and we'll execute it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, we'll change it pretty fast. And but this thing happened to work. I'm not saying it works forever. It might change, but for now, so far so good.
That's very cool. So I would imagine that the employers are a lot more engaged because of it, because they don't really have to guess what Johnny over there is making compared to me. I mean, they already know.
Yeah, it sort of removes the gossiping or the need for gossiping because you know.
Yeah. And I would imagine, too, the other thing is it would kind of create a system of checks and balances where if I know that so-and-so is making more than me, maybe I can work a little bit harder in order for me to get to his level, or vice versa, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because like when you want a raise, it's easier for you to tell that, okay, sort of benchmark yourself against other people and their level of competence.
So the other question that I would want to pose is, has there been a challenge on the hiring front, though, as far as attracting people? If you get people who have overinflated salaries like you do get here in California.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, no challenges as such, but I think our work culture is not for everybody, and we have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So some people like more, they like to have more management, more direct orders. They like to report, and they don't like free, flexible work time and so on. I'm really happy to be able to say that don't apply if you like that. We work. We have a lot of flexibility, trust, but also responsibility.
That's awesome. So you eliminated middle management. You put out kind of all the salary information. Anything else on the transparency side that you guys are open to, or any?
Yeah, I think one of the things companies would, I mean, it's an easy to pilot would be the credit cards. So just to add the trust factor. So in our company, all the employees who want a company credit card, they can get one.
Oh, really?
And
that's brave too.
And not all people do, but most of them have a company credit card, and they can make any purchases that are taking us further and to become a better workplace. So
business related.
Yeah.
They're not going out and buying shoes with it.
Sometimes they do, but I mean, we'll deal with it later.
I need a new wardrobe. All right, very cool. So I can see how this transparency would kind of maximize trust, and then you kind of are building in the trust factor by offering a credit card, which, you know, would kind of further solidify it. What do you do on the leadership side? Like, what are you doing to kind of build that trust even more?
I guess like the whole way we see management is we don't believe in the top-down model where you assume that all the employees who are actually individuals have the same needs, because they don't. They are individuals with different needs, dreams and visions for their future. And that's why we created something we call Leadership as a Service, LAS.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, and so instead of sort of leading with policies and restrictions or rules, we try to listen the employees and react to whatever they need or want. And we created a product for that. It's a platform where all the employees, they have an easy way to sort of order these management services from me and the other managers in the company.
Doesn't that create a lot more work for you though?
No, you would think that, but it's actually less, because let's take like performance discussions as an example.
Yeah.
Not all people want to have twice a year performance discussions, but usually it's what companies do.
The dreaded performance review.
Yeah, exactly. It's and we've noticed, but then again, so we don't have that twice a year discussion.
So you don't do
just because
reviews?
we discuss every time when an employee wants to discuss.
Okay.
So just signing up to LAS tool and ordering a chat or a discussion, you'll get one.
Okay.
So it's less work than you would think, and
because you're actually getting the employee to be proactive in their own career, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
I like it.
If something is broken, you can fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you don't have coffee milk you like at the office, you can just order it.
Yeah.
Instead of getting an approval for ordering it.
Yeah. Okay.
So and for managers, it's less work because they don't have to do simple things like that.
Now, do you find that people are willing to do that? Because a lot of people just don't speak up or they don't say anything.
It does need push in the beginning, and especially I think because there aren't that many the companies who operate like us.
Yeah.
So when people move from a company to our culture, it'll take a half a year.
Yeah. For them to settle in.
Yeah, to settle in and sort of learn to work the way we do.
See, when I heard your talk, I love things that are disruptive, and so I was totally thrilled to have you on today because I think that wow, doing a total paradigm shift like this is what a lot of companies need to do, but they just are too afraid to do it.
I know. Yeah, it is a change, and I mean, it works for us. I'm not saying it works for everybody and every company, but for us it works. And
well, I think it works too because you've already come from that. You're the leader of the company, so you're already a living example of it, right? So I would imagine
it helps.
when you take a seasoned leadership team that's not really used to it and you try and put this in there, I would imagine that could be disastrous.
I have to try it once.
That might be a fun experiment. We're talking to Ville Houttu, the founder and CEO of Vincit, California. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how this translates to the interview process and what kind of results you should get. Be right back.
You're listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, giving you access to recruiting techniques that will help you hire key talent to build your company towards real success. Rick is a recruiting executive and entrepreneur who's been successfully recruiting in the aggressive Silicon Valley technology landscape for the past 2 decades. After a very successful stint at Apogee, he founded Stride Search in 2012. Based on a lean efficiency model, Stride has uniquely positioned itself as a leader in retained search for the most critical talent hires within a small organization. Whether you're a startup executive or recruiting professional, by listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, you will walk away with skills to help you attract and hire great talent. Now back to Higher Power with Rick Girard.
Welcome back to the Higher Power Radio Show. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and our guest today is Ville Houttu, the founder and CEO of Vincit, California. So we just discussed transparency and trust and kind of some of the unique aspects of how Vincit puts those cultural values into play. Now we're going to explore how this kind of translates into the hiring process and what kind of results you get. So let's talk about hiring. I would imagine when you bring in somebody new and you're explaining these concepts, it might be a little bit of a sticker shock.
It is, and that's partly why we have 3-step interview process.
Yeah. So
we have 3 sessions with the candidate, and we can explain these things. So I think part of it is for giving them an opportunity to interview us.
Yeah.
More than us interviewing them, and making sure that
it's a two-way street.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's the cultural fit is the most important thing we try to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always kind of I always stress the fact that it's got to be a fit for both people. You can't try and put somebody who doesn't fit your culture in there because they have skills into a role and expect that that's going to work out well. I mean, it may, but probably won't.
Yeah, I think I feel like you can teach everything else except the culture.
Yeah.
So it is, and all companies have a unique culture. They are all different. Yeah. So you either fit or you don't.
Yeah.
And all the other things you can teach.
Yeah, it's like putting a startup person into a large company culture. They're not going to probably work out well for whatever reason, right?
Right.
So what would you say would be when you first started hiring and you started kind of building your team out here? What was the kind of first shock moment for you as far as kind of what you learned in this process?
No, I've been saying we were extremely lucky. Having the first 4 employees, really successful hires.
That's great.
And it all sort of showed us the way we've been on now, hiring 1 or 2 employees per month.
Great.
And but we really haven't changed anything. So you would think, coming from Finland, Scandinavia, it would be all that different, but it is not. We really haven't changed the interview process at all. Yeah. And we have the first interview, which is with the HR and a developer or designer, depending on which position you're looking for. The second interview will be technical, and it's a team situation where you would solve a problem.
So is it a collaborative effort?
It is. And it's a dialogue. So it's more like again trying to find out whether the cultural fit is there. And the last interview is with me, which is test.
Okay, very good. And so the important thing here is you have a process. Now, do you and a structure in place, and most companies don't. Right. So, all right. So transferring that. So how do you screen for skills? I mean, you have this discussion. Most companies hire based on skills. You're hiring for culture first, skills second. So how does that look? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think what I've seen here, there's some fundamental difference, small but important difference, which is we never hire for a project need.
Got it.
But we always hire when we find a good person to fit in the culture.
Boom.
So that's like it's been kind of hard for some of the people in hiring positions to understand. So do you need people? No, but we still keep hiring, and we hire all the good people. Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're being proactive in keeping your pipeline flowing, and as you find good people, you hire them.
Exactly.
And that's the way. That's a great way to build a company.
It is, and it's the only way to build a service company. So we're an agency, so that's the only way we grow.
And you know what? And I think a lot of it was funny. I was just having a conversation with an entrepreneur this morning who was saying, "Well, I'm not sure if I have the budget or the project for it," and So you guys just kind of go for it, and
that's one of the things we don't do is budgeting. So we don't have budgets.
You don't budget either.
So then you can't really hide behind the budgets.
Sure.
So because it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
You need to come up with better reasons not to hire or to hire.
Yeah, and it's funny because I find a lot of people kind of come up with the reasons, especially entrepreneurs, why they shouldn't hire as opposed to why they should.
Yeah, it is when it's. I think it's when how to phrase it, when the business reasons drive your decisions, you're going a little bit south. So it's like you would have, for example, instead of focusing on growth or revenue, you should focus on the things that make the growth possible. And in our case, it's people.
Focus on the things that make the growth possible.
Yeah. So we for example, our KPIs, the things we measure, are employee satisfaction survey results and client satisfaction survey results. So and this is it means growth for us. So it's instead of the profitability or revenue, we focus on the things that actually make these two possible.
You focus on value, providing value.
Yeah, or growth enablers.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. So I think you had mentioned earlier too collaboration, right? So how big is collaboration in your cultural, your company culture, and what's the impact of that?
Collaboration is so we work a little bit what we do. So we build mobile applications and web systems, and we work in teams, which are from all the way from 2 to 10 people. Team. So, but it's always collaboration.
Depending on the size of the project.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why if you're asking about the hiring process or the interview process, that's why we want to have a team situation where we also look at the way the problems get solved or they don't. So sometimes the problems don't get solved, but it can be a good thing. So we know how the person reacts, how quickly he and what kind of questions he's able to ask and willing to ask. So sort of raising a hand that I can do it, and that's sometimes a good thing.
Yeah, and I would imagine you have to get that person really comfortable in the conversation so they can feel safe about asking those questions, because a lot of people don't want to look dumb in an interview process, especially technical people, right? So they want to look like they're smart, so they'll try and solve it without asking the questions sometimes. Yeah,
it's extremely important to be.
How do you get past that?
Yeah, human sort of, or having the human interaction all the way from our job ads. If you look at them, you'll see the employees, the developers telling about their day-to-day.
Yeah.
And we are trying to reflect, give a good idea of how the day-to-day is. And if you have questions, you can contact this person directly instead of contacting a hiring manager. And
so you opened up the transparency for new employees too, like potential new employees. Hey, you can reach out to so and so and ask him about what it's like to work at our company.
Yeah, all the way through from the job ad. So you can ask questions, and when you come into the interview, you'll meet this person who was sort of posting.
Yeah.
And looking for a new colleague.
That is super cool. I love the fact that you guys are just doing everything opposite of what everybody else does.
Is it?
Kind of, yeah. Okay. I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of companies here are very, you have to go through these channels in order to get there and jump through these hoops. And it's almost a very, very difficult situation to try and get hired in a lot of companies here.
Sure.
Yeah. So what have the results been so far since you've been here?
Yeah, I think the results. So we of course we
whatever you can share.
Yeah, I can share almost everything, but it's like we only have 2 years of operations in California. So, but we really don't have attrition at all.
Yeah,
so
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, it's record low. But I guess what we can say already at this point, the engagement is there, self-management. The team in a way works towards the same goals. We have to have happier clients and happier employees tomorrow than we have today.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, and it's easy enough for all of us to understand. And they make big decisions. Like how I see it, the lower level in the organization, big decisions are made, the better we have succeeded, if it makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So
so you're not having to make the decision on everything. You just empower your people to make it.
Yeah.
And they do as a collaborative effort.
Yeah, and as a manager, it does feel like almost things happen automatically.
Yeah.
So when people take responsibility and make decisions and things just happen.
Are you surprised by it sometimes?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised over here how well the whole community welcomed us to Orange County, which is because I started the company in the Bay Area first.
Oh, did you really?
And I moved it down to Orange County after 6 months, and
that was probably a wise idea. I do a lot of recruiting in the Bay Area, and it's brutal up there.
It's brutal up there,
yeah.
But of course, like the what people told me is, okay, you have well-established companies, but it's hard to get into the Orange County. But I'm surprised how warm welcome the companies, clients, and the developer community has given us. So it's a positive surprise.
Well, I think when you do great work, then you get recognized for it, right?
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow, that's awesome. I want to salute you for what you're doing. I mean, awesome job. I hope that other entrepreneurs that are listening right now can learn from this and actually implement some of these into their company, because I think it's the way which companies need to grow.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I appreciate it.
So we're just about out of time for today's show. Ville, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
So now I'm sure that there's going to be some people that are going to be interested in working for you. How do they reach you?
I think the easiest way is to go to our website. Mm-hmm. That's vincit.com, vincit.com.
Okay.
And you'll find the job section after browsing through the other content. So
okay. And then you want to give a little plug on what your company does, just so that people can, if somebody wants to hire you guys, give them better outlay of that.
Of course, like in the beginning you mentioned, so we build mobile applications and web systems for companies like Yamaha, Logitech, and a few other. Can
a smaller company use your service?
Yes, we have a lot of startups, local also from the Bay Area.
Awesome.
But I think the key is we work locally.
Yeah.
And like to work with the clients.
And you should go to their website and check out their new office, because it's super cool.
Huh. Yeah, we like it.
So I want to thank our listening audience for tuning in to today's episode of Higher Power. Quick thanks to our team, our engineer Paul Roberts, our producers Andrea Ballin, Shanti Ryle, and Kim Iverson. To listen to this show and any past episodes, you can check us out on Hire, that's HIRE, powerradio.com, or follow us on iTunes at Higher Power Radio. You can also check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook at Higher Power Radio Show, or you can follow me on Twitter at Rick_Girard. So we have another great show lined up for you guys next week. Our guest is going to be the illustrious Rick Franzi, founder and CEO of the Critical Mass for Business podcast and radio show here on OC Talk Radio as well. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard on OC Talk Radio.